Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of High Velocity Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today on the show we have Jeff DeLoach, and he is with CogNet. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, glad to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about CogNet. How are you serving folks?
So CogNet, it's funny, this question, we're right in the middle of sort of adjusting our message down to something simplified, and because we do some pretty complicated stuff. So CogNet is a business process management company. We focus on the HR outsourcing space, where we help companies work smarter by offloading, the administrative tasks around payroll tax, benefits, finance and accounting, and we also do help them do AI and automation development as well. So that's sort of us at a high level. We do it at scale because we support HR outsourcing companies within the U.S. So, a company like maybe perhaps an ADP or companies in the PEO and ASO space, we're sort of their back office administrative go-to organization for them. So help them scale and create efficiencies and reduce costs.
So what was the genesis of the idea? Were you always an outsourcer for outsourcers, or did you start just trying to get customers individually?
Actually, it's even got a bigger genesis than that. We actually were a customer. I was CEO of a PEO some 20 plus years ago, and we were looking at ways to create efficiencies for our back office. And we partnered with a company way back when that helped us develop a shared service center. And over time that we exited the company, sold it, and the acquiring company didn't want the shared service center. So that ultimately became CogNet some 18 plus years ago. So
now, for folks who aren't familiar with exactly what's going on here in terms of the service you're providing, what's kind of the entry-level point where people start saying, you know what, maybe I can outsource this element of my business? And I'm sure there's kind of project creep once they're like, wow, that worked out pretty well. Why don't we take another little chunk of the business to outsource? Is it always, not always, but is payroll usually the first step here?
It's interesting. You hit it directly on the head. So we have something we call land and expand. And so organizations usually have, some particular pain point. And typically it's not they can't do it. It's just they don't necessarily have the scale or capacity to do it, or they're struggling with, or they lost someone. And so we help them provide that capacity. And so it might be one task. Payroll is one area, but payroll is typically a broader engagement, because when you think about an HR outsourcing company, they do a lot of payroll. So it usually starts in a smaller engagement. So perhaps something like garnishments. So perhaps they start with us and we're managing their garnishments, and then they say, wow, this is amazing. You guys do great. And then they start moving into other areas. And then we begin to help them and support them in these broader areas. But so typically we start out with a particular process or a few processes. Occasionally we go, we jump, head first into broader engagements. But, one of the big things that we do well is the change management piece of it, helping integrate our organization with theirs. We have our product is called, we label it YAS, which is Extended Office as a Service, which we become part of that organization. And it's not just, hey, somebody else somewhere else is handling this for us. We actually integrate weekly meetings with teams and things like that. So it becomes an extension. So, and that's where we see this land and expand, because they view us as, part of their organization as they expand the outsourcing engagement.
So how far can you expand? Like what areas kind of are your sweet spots? Because it seems like it could be almost everything.
So we've been strategic about staying within our niche, and we're sort of what I'll call 7 yards wide, but 70 miles deep. So we have 7 practice areas that we operate, and we target specifically the HR outsourcing and the associated organizations around that, such as staffing companies, insurance brokers, TPAs, things like that. So we have 7 practice areas. The first one, we talked about payroll, and then payroll tax is another one. Benefits and HR administration, that sort of falls into the garnishment falls under that. We have the finance and accounting, where we'll close books for people and manage their GL, things like that. And then we also have sales support, sales and underwriting support. So within the industry, when they're doing quotes, the insurance is a product piece in there. So there's quoting and things like that, and information gathering that you have to do around underwriting. And then we do implementation. So we're one of the things, implementation around HRIS. We're technology agnostic. Like, people contract with us, they don't have to take on technology. We integrate with their existing technology. So we have broad knowledge across all the different platforms that are in the space. And then one of the newest obvious practice areas that we've gotten into is AI and automation, where we assist companies that are doing these processes, automate more of them, and use the existing technologies today to help them do that. So those are our areas that we work in. We don't get into programming. We don't get into call centers, all the other type of things that people might associate with outsourcing. But that's sort of our core niche area that we stay in.
Now, are your clients typically enterprise level, or do you work with kind of the smaller folks as well?
We have the full scope. I would tell you that most of our clients would be mid-market, but we definitely have some clients that are smaller HR outsourcing companies, smaller engages, maybe 1 or 2 of our knowledge associates, to engagements with larger public companies where we have 100 plus people working with their organization. So.
Now, do you get those clients, like if they maybe you were serving a larger enterprise, and then these individuals spin off and start their own consultancy or start their own business, and they're like, well, can CogNet come along for the ride here because I know that they do good work?
We definitely have some of that, but I'll tell you, we gain most of our revenue and new growth around referrals and relationships. Our business depends on a trust and transparency that we can perform with their organization, and that's really how we built it up over these many years. And we've had a lot of success these last several years. We made the Inc. 5000. We'll make it again this year, so we're having some good success.
So any advice for other leaders that would like to get more referrals and build enough deeper relationships where they come about in a manner that CogNet's able to achieve them? Is there some do's and don'ts when it comes to building out a strategy that really allows word of mouth to really kind of grow and work in the way that you envision, rather than that sounds like a good idea on a whiteboard, but in practice it's not kind of bearing fruit?
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I don't know if it is replicatable to every type of business, but I'll tell you what's driven us over these last several years of success is we have a little acronym internally we use. It's called TACKLE, and the first 2, the T and the A, are trust and accountability. And we firmly believe in transparency. For example, people don't usually think about processes like payroll or benefits administration as being something that you manage, like a metric that you might with a manufacturing company or something like that. But we manage our time, monitor our time, and evaluate the processes down to the minute for everything that we do. So we have the data there that we can share and be that transparent and accountable partner so they understand what their cost is, what they're spending time with us doing, what their spend is around what are non-core but critical processes. I mean, being compliant and payroll tax is not something companies think this is how I'm going to be successful. But if they don't do it right, or they're ineffective at it, it can completely derail your plans. So we really have to build that trust and accountability piece around that. And I think that at the end of the day gives our clients not only comfort in expanding in their own business, but also taking it to other businesses and recommending us.
So now, how would that happen? Like, I understand the word of mouth internally, like, hey, a bunch of executives have a meeting and they're sharing what's working, what's not. And they're like, hey, we got this CogNet thing. And if you haven't been using it over here, you might want to think about it. That makes perfect sense. But how do you get it outside the building? How do you get them to tell their buddy playing golf that, hey, if you're struggling over here, these guys are the ones to work with?
Yeah. So, the HR outsourcing space is a community. People, for the most part, everybody knows everybody. Particularly when you boil it down to the PEO space, where we have deep penetration. That's what I call a smaller pond, where people have been involved in the industry for a long time. So we spend a good amount of time at conferences around the industry, and building out those relationships over. I mean, we've done it over years now, but there, and then there's places like where there's the bigger pool of a place like HR Tech, where we spend time there. And then also we develop partnerships. So when we develop partnerships with some HR consulting firms that we work with who are into the implementation space or doing other support services for HR systems, they bring us into deals as well. As their partners. So that's where, we build out these partnerships in these specific spaces, and that's how the word gets out, how they share, how people are able to come to us, and we go to them for opportunities. So, and then of course we do some marketing as well, but we frankly, because of what we do and the strategic nature of it, it's not necessarily a dialing for dollars type relationship. It's I would parallel it more to how perhaps an Accenture or somebody or a TCS partners with engagement. We just do it at the lower end, while those guys are chasing the Fortune 500s.
Now, when you're working in a space like AI and automation that is just fast and furious, the information's coming and the opportunities are kind of blossoming in ways that it's hard to even keep track of because it changes on a minute by minute basis.
Absolutely.
Are you listening to your customers to say, okay, what are your pain points? Is that even possible? Or do you have to just keep staying ahead of them to say, hey, if you're not kind of doing this now, there's going to be a cost of inaction here later. So how do you kind of balance that? Yep. Because that seems it's moving so fast. It's like jumping into the rapids that there's no great time to start. So you better just jump in and figure some stuff out as you go.
I got to tell you, Lee, you are hitting the nail on the head, because there's two parts to my answer to your question, because you covered it so well. The first part is, we as a process organization, and we are a process organization, we actually had to take a hard look at ourselves and say, okay, this is coming. How do we adjust our business model, even internally, to take advantage of this technology that's this sort of quiet revolution, I'll call it. Maybe it's not so quiet, that's happening around AI and automation. And so we had to look at that. How do we be a more efficient partner for our clients? And so we took a hard look at that. And that's where it sort of began. And then we realized that our clients are not being able to take advantage of. Can we be a partner there to help them do that? And so there's a quote. I saw a woman one time that I thought was fantastic that talked about AI. She said, I don't know that I want AI to do my writing and painting while I do the dishes and do the laundry. I'd rather me do the writing and the painting and AI do the dishes and the laundry. And so, because we focus on non-core but critical activities, we really are in the space of the laundry and the dishwashing, and it's primed for automation. So we have really leaned into that a lot. And one of the things we do is we try to bridge that gap that you talked about people really still don't know actually how they're going to use AI and automation. We were at a staffing conference, and the analyst said everybody talks about AI, but only about 10 to 15% have actually figured out how to utilize or maximize it to assist their business. So we've because we do these processes on a regular basis, because we're applying it to our own organization, we're able to come with a solution and a recommendation to clients on certain processes we handle for them to better automate that and utilize the powers of AI. And that's where we start. And then it gets into, oh, wow, can we look at this and can we look at that? Because I can tell you personally, I've been amazed at what it brings to the table and even the potential in the future for it. So.
Now, is any part of working in AI and automation, is it something that you've achieved kind of monetary savings for a client where it's like, hey, we used to do it this way, but if you take this thing that we figured out with an AI and automation kind of combo, this is going to save you time, this is going to save you money, this is going to be, there's a tangible benefit. It's not hey, this is a cool thing we can do. This is a bottom line thing that's going to benefit everybody if we can really just become more efficient. I mean, that's what everybody's shooting for, is just be more efficient.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have multiple examples of that. I'll give you an example that's something you probably hadn't even contemplated, but when companies do transitions from one system to another, so let's say they're leaving one payroll vendor and going to another payroll vendor, particularly in this mid and larger corporation, one of the things that gets lost is the amount of employee documents that you collect, everything from W-4s and I-9s that you're collecting and at the beginning when somebody comes on board, then all the things that happen in between, performance reviews and all that. Well, those sit there, and there's no automated way to transfer them to one system to the other. It's literally a download, upload process. So we were able to apply some orchestrations and automations that saved our clients thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of time in doing this via automation. And that's been a real growth and success area for us, because, and the reason why it's difficult is because each company is different. Each company has documents in different areas. Each company has certain things they want and don't want. So automation was a real successful application there that we orchestrated and developed. So we've done it across dozens of platforms at this point now. So.
Yeah, and this is like you were saying earlier, when you have kind of that miles deep understanding of the nuances of systems and processes, it gives you a unique perspective to solve problems in that space, as opposed to somebody who is just kind of dabbling.
Right. Exactly. That's sort of what we why we stay within our niche and really. We're an ISO 9001 company as far as process goes. So having done this for, we're almost approaching 20 years now, our SOPs that we have around all the processes that are involved in managing HR and managing HR processes across multiple platforms gives us a knowledge base. And matter of fact, AI played a role in that, because one of the things we say to our clients and internally is our people are a product. And so we sort of had to treat our people that we put into our engagements from almost like manufacturing, where we take people who perhaps have a good education but don't necessarily understand the depths and intricacies of U.S. payroll, U.S. HR laws, benefits, et cetera. So we used AI to help us develop a broad LMS tool, learning management system, that literally tests them. We can, and we're able to get people straight out of college to active, successful participant in these spaces within 3 to 6 months, and where they're actually on the brink of being almost an SME. To that. So that's, but AI played a big role in that, in helping us build out the content and, doing the, we have, AI driven, agents that, talk to them, do the testing, have interactive responses. It's really fascinating.
So what's the pain that your ideal client is having right now where they should be calling CogNet? Are they just frustrated, or are they, is something happening internally that they're, falling behind? What's the trigger that has a conversation with CogNet as the answer?
Yep. The trigger is this is 90% of the time. The trigger is needed capacity, either because of growth. They're just unable to handle it. Or they made an acquisition and they need help in the transition. They lost some staff and they just don't, they can't keep up with the turnover. It's typically those things, and we believe we're in a good space because the accounting sort of a career in the U.S. has been on the decline for some time now. For whatever reason, the youth of today are more interested in other avenues, and so there is a true labor shortage in the U.S. In general. And then so we find that when someone has these capacity issues, that they need a partner that can that has the knowledge, can scale up quickly, like we are, and can immediately give them, within 30 days, 30 to 45 days, be ready to roll and operating. So, those are the main drivers. That capacity, the needed capacity. So whether it's a negative creation of capacity or positive creation of capacity.
And then your clients are here in the U.S., but global as well.
Yes, we do have some clients global as well. So.
And if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on the team, what's the website? What's the best way to connect?
Yep. Yeah, CogNet, it's CognetHRO.com. So COGNETHRO.com is our website. And you can reach us there, or you can reach me directly at 404-863-1245.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
All right. This is Lee Cantor.
Great day.
We'll see you next time on High Velocity Radio.